Hey, what's up, YouTube? I'm gonna finish my story a little bit. Get this sitting right. I think I told you guys I was staying with a guy on the reservation in South Dakota. Let's call him Floyd. But he was a pretty cool guy. We did a lot of stuff. He went around, showed me the Wounded Knee massacre burial site. If you guys, that's American history right there. That's something they don't really teach in school. It's happened quite a few times in different places, but that's something if you guys need to research. Maybe there's quite a few books on it and stuff. It's pretty fun to read about that stuff. One book I read after I came back was the story of Dull Knife, and a dull knife was this was an Indian's name. There was a dull knife present at Little Bighorn, the massacre of Wounded Knee, and then the 1973 or 74 occupation at Wounded Knee. There was used to be a church at that site that's no longer there, but you guys, it's up to you guys to look that up. It's pretty cool story. It's pretty sad in places, but anyways, we did some ceremonial stuff, and I didn't really think much about it at the time, but a couple days I got on my way, headed up to northern South Dakota. Spearfish, Rapid City, Sturgis. I'm sure everybody heard about Sturgis. Of course, the rally wasn't going on there, so I was about the only motorcycle in town. But also stopped at the Crazy Horse Monument. Apparently Floyd had called the folks at Crazy Horse. That's there's no government funding. It's all private donations, and it's a family. Well, you guys can investigate that too, but it's a family-run deal. They're doing a gigantic carving. I pulled up on my bike, and I forget, it was like $12 to get in, and they just kind of waved me on in, which I was okay. That's fine. So I go on in, and at the time they were building a center, like a museum type thing. I went in, looked around, and this little lady came up to me. She couldn't have been much more than 5 foot tall. She spoke pretty good English, but you could tell there was a Slovakian or Russian type accent. We talked for a little bit, and she ended up being the wife of the guy that had started Crazy Horse. So that was pretty interesting. And then she asked me about Floyd. That's how I found out that he had called, and told him to expect me. And said, I asked her how come she knew. She said, well, I just know. Okay, that's kind of scary, but nonetheless, we talked for a little bit, and I got to go up on the mountain, see the carving up close. It was massive undertaking. I am flipping scared of heights, and it was up there, and it was windy and cold, and yeah, that was definitely something hard to forget. So I get on my way, go down around a few miles, away is, I think it's 15-16 miles, is Mount Rushmore. I didn't stop there because that takes money to get in there, and I went back a few years later and seen it, but nonetheless I didn't think that was part of my trip this time. So I going down, oh man, I just went to dozens and dozens of little towns. Custer, went over a bunch of places, and you know, few times actually I ran out of gas, and I had lots of people stop, give me gas, help me out, and I stopped, and there was a casino really close, but I think it might be one of the only casinos on that reservation. There was a group of teenage Lakota boys that had stopped. They helped me get my bike in the back of the truck, and they started asking me about Floyd, and it just completely blew my mind. It's like, how do you guys know? And they pointed towards my necklace, which I don't wear jewelry. I mean, nothing wrong with anybody that does, I just don't. And you know, Floyd had given me this. I don't know if you guys can see it too well. It's a Silverhorse with opal or something on it, and he had called me, my Lakota is not very good, but it was Masakahawa. I forget, but it's a Lakota name, and they said that's the Silverhorse. That's Floyd's. I was like, wow, that's kind of, yeah, I just thought it was a trinket, but I've had it fixed a few times, and it's real silver. And I was pretty touched by that he'd given me that, and found out that that was one of the things that he was known by, was he wore that. So I've replaced the chain. It was actually on a piece of sinew that had, you know, rotted away a couple of years ago. It had broken in half, and I didn't want to lose the necklace, lose the pendant. But that's one of the ways that I got my my name, Silverhorse 347. Silverhorse was already taken on YouTube, and at the time it's just a coincidence that I happened to have bought a silver Mustang in 2000. And when I started, you're getting into the internet and signing up on all these message boards, I just used the Silverhorse as my handle, and it kind of stuck. And when I came to YouTube, Silverhorse was already taken, so I added the 347 because I was building a 347 for my Mustang. That's how I got my handle. Anyways, they helped me out. I made it up through in the Black Hills, stayed a couple of nights at rest areas. Campgrounds were closed, and I guess in May it's still potential for snowstorms up there at the time. But there was a few places where there was still 5-foot drifts of snow on the ground. In the Black Hills, it was doesn't see sun, so it's not going to melt. Made my way up to Spearfish. I pulled in downtown Spearfish. I guess it's downtown. I don't know. It's the center of town. Stopped at the gas station. And this very nice looking young lady come up to me. looking at my bike and admiring it, and she noticed the Ohio license plates and started asking me, you know, what I was doing, what I was doing there. And I told her I was just on a journey. She said, well, that's good. Where are you going to stay? So I hadn't really planned on staying. So you got to stay in Spearfish a couple days. Okay. So I said, where do you suggest to stay? She said, well, my mom runs the hotel. It was a Days Inn or something like that. I said, all right. So I went over there and they hooked me up with a good rate. I had shower, TV, which I only turned on for the weather. And I stayed there a few days and hacked around town. There's a little coffee house. Stopped there a few times and met some nice people, met some people that weren't so nice. I don't drink. Went to the bar a couple times, got some Coke, and some guys said some racial comments about Indians and other things. I still, at the time I had my ponytail, but I was clean shaven except for mustache. They'd said some racial things about Indians and got into a couple fights. Nothing big. So I decided to head on down the road, and Spearfish is on the far west side of South Dakota. So I'm going east. I'd stopped in Rapid City. That's a pretty big town for South Dakota. Not much happened there. I found a couple places to rest and take some naps, and headed on over towards Sturgis and just looked around. That's a very small town. I can't imagine 200,000 or 300,000 people showing up there in August on motorcycles and trailers and campers and other stuff, but it's a pretty quiet little town 10 months out of the year. I started heading east again towards Minnesota, and I just couldn't make it. Couldn't make it between stops on gas. Ran out a few times. A couple guys stopped. I pushed my bike a few miles. I mean, it's flat out there, so it's a pain. But I made it to gas stations and collected some more bottles for gas. Stopped at Big Al's rest stop, Big Al's truck stop or something, and on 90. And I got pretty good food there. If you guys ever out that way, I forget the name of the town. It begins with an O. But you'll see the sign. Big Al's. Met some people there. It was all right. So I went down, rode along the, I think it's the Missouri River. Goes up there, I forget, but I rode along that a little bit, found another bridge, crossed over, rode back up it, got back on 90, headed towards Minnesota again. Once I got into Minnesota, I headed south through Iowa. Probably went right past Chuck CWK 1981, I think it was. I probably went right past you guys because I went right through where you live. There's a couple little towns in Iowa I stopped at. Nothing major happened. I mean, it was just a trip. Well, I finally made it back home, and it was a pretty big adventure. I mean, it was, sleeping under bridges, stopping under bridges when the thunderstorms would hit, sit there for 2 or 3 hours. And I learned to keep my cigarettes hidden in deep in my pack so they didn't get wet. Sit there underneath the bridge and smoke cigarettes. A couple of other guys would stop, and yeah, I met some guys that I don't know what they were out doing, but they were on some pretty hairy looking motorcycles like myself. A couple of guys with colors, and say they had some other people backing them up if they needed anything. You know, I'm out there lone wolf. They were pretty cool. Nobody ever tried to start any trouble with me after I left, went past Spearfish or Rapid City. Once I got past Rapid City, nobody ever really started any more trouble. But it's, I finally made it home. Called my boss and told him I'd be in, probably Wednesday, because I needed to catch up on a few things. He said that's no problem. But yeah, it was definitely an adventure. I don't think my body could take doing it again. I mean, I've made some pretty decent motorcycle trips since then, but nothing that extensive, that bare bones. I was riding a hardtail with no saddlebags, no windshield, 2-gallon gas tank, had a backpack, a small bag of tools, and 5 Pepsi bottles or Coke bottles, whatever they were, for gas. But, yeah, it's more tales from the road. Alright guys, I'll talk to you later.